So, if you haven't heard, Marc Bergevin of the Montreal Canadiens was nominated for GM of the Year. Okay, and I wanted to take a look here because it's honestly all over the place when it comes to this guy and the Montreal Canadiens fan base. I mean, I've seen plenty of times where people were begging, probably praying to the hockey gods, to Maurice Richard, please fire this guy, I'm begging you. But then there's times like now where he's a god. I'm hearing stories, he's walking through the streets, he's high-fiving everybody, he's having a great time right now, and people love him. So I wanted to take a look and see how good of a GM is Marc Bergevin in reality here. Because listen, it's important to be objective, and right now he looks really good, and who knows, there might even be a Stanley Cup Finals appearance in the future for this GM and his team, but let's not forget the multiple years of missing the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens, okay? 2015-16 was a rough season. That was the year where at the end of it, they traded PK, they missed the playoffs that year, and then let's not forget also 2017-18, okay? Missed the playoffs. 18-19, they missed it by 1 point, but they still missed it. Columbus went in that last spot instead of them. So multiple missed playoffs here, and also some trades that don't look so good. But again, we have to be objective here, and there are some moves that he made that were absolutely a stroke of genius. So that's why it's all over the place with this guy. Okay, it's not like Stevie Y, Yzerman, where you can say, wow, this guy's a great GM through and through. No, Bergevin, it's a little tougher, and depending on who you ask in Habs Nation, you might get a different opinion. Because on the one hand, he's made some incredible moves here. Like, for example, even way back when he picked up Paul Byron off waivers. Amazing move. Gets that guy for free. The Tyler Toffoli contract is looking amazing here. Okay? Some great moves there. The Max Pacioretty, Nick Suzuki trade, where the Habs get Suzuki, Norlinder, which was the draft pick, and Thomas Tatar for Max Pacioretty, so amazing trade there. But on the other side of the coin then, there's also the Max Domi, Josh Anderson trade, and this one, it's been polarizing since day one. Earlier in the season, if you would have asked me, I would have said, no brainer, eyes closed, the Montreal Canadiens won that trade, sending Max Domi and turning him into Josh Anderson. And if you think about it, we've talked about this a few times, because they got Domi for Galchenyuk, they basically turned Alex Galchenyuk into Josh Anderson, and no matter what you say, that is a win. And yes, throughout the playoffs, Anderson has been disappointing so far, and I say that knowing that yesterday he scored 2 huge goals. I mean, he's got the game winner in overtime and the gift from Marc-Andre Fleury. But even with that, a guy who makes $5.5 million for 7 years here, I expected more from him in the playoffs. And again, he was great in Game 3 there. He was throwing his weight around. He was taking the puck and using his speed to get to the net. He really was playing great. But in the long run, I fear that this contract might end up being somewhat bad for the Habs. And if Bergevin has a Stanley Cup ring because of it, because maybe Josh Anderson wakes up now and his confidence gets back up to where it was in the regular season because of those 2 big goals yesterday, then it doesn't matter if in a few years the injury history with Anderson or the consistency issues from the past start to rear their head again, because he helped them get a Stanley Cup. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters here. But yeah, for me on that one, it's not so much the trade I have an issue with. It was an amazing trade, I think, to go Domi for Anderson, because the rumor was that Domi did not want to come back to Montreal. But for me, it's the contract for Josh Anderson. Like, did you really need to go 7 years at $5.5 million for a guy who only had 1 goal in the season before? And I know it was injury riddled, but still, just 1 goal, you're going to give him $5.5 million. Not too big of a fan of the contract, but again, if they win the Stanley Cup, nobody is going to care. There's also some other stuff like the Alexander Radulov situation there. You can blame who you want. You can say Radulov didn't want to stay or Bergevin didn't want to give him the money. Whatever you think, there's something going on there too. There's also the draft history with Bergevin. There's a lot of people, I know KK's won over the hearts of a lot of Habs fans, but there's a lot of people who think Brady Tkachuk should have been taken third overall by Bergevin there. We'll see how that one turns out because KK hasn't fully developed yet. But there's also some really amazing moves. Let's not forget the Jeff Petrie trade, which has really come up aces for him. Some amazing moves like Corey Perry, Joel Edmondson. Those are just this season. Some great moves there. Yoel Armia, okay, another one. So there's some really astute, great little moves that he makes where he chips away. It's not always the big blockbuster deal that changes your team. It's just chipping away at the tree with little moves that you know are going to make your team better, and I feel like that's his strength. And yes, if you ask me, I do think the draft is somewhat of a weakness for Bergevin. And I know saying that, he's the one who stepped up and snagged Cole Caufield 15th overall when everybody else was scared of his size, and that was a great move. But as far as like the grand history of Bergevin's drafting history, some of it, he could have done better. And I know you can say that about almost every GM, but he's done a good job, but there was definitely potential there for him to do a great job, and sometimes he even did a bad job with some of the drafting. So that's why overall, I think he's honestly a very good general manager. I really do. And of course, there's some luck involved because they made it this far. I mean, if they get out in 5 games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, what kind of discussion are we having right now? Are we having this same discussion? I do not think so at all. And Bergevin might even be on the hot seat for that. And the coaching stuff, right? That's another one. I mean, the Claude Julien thing, that is really a mixed bag with Habs fans. I mean, it was his time to go, but people saying at the time if it was a good move or not, who knows there. Michel Therrien before him, that's another one. You'll have to get Habs fans' takes on that because that's a spicy pot right there. But yeah, overall, I think the guy is a good GM. I don't think he's great. Okay, I don't know. I would put him like middle of the pack in the league. Maybe top half, but still somewhat middle of the pack. But he's a good GM, and you can't deny that. And we'll see what he does after here, because I don't know, man. In any other division, if this is a regular season with the regular divisions, do the Habs even make the playoffs? And then what kind of discussion are we having if the Habs miss the playoffs this year? So we'll see. I mean, if this team can keep getting back to the postseason and making some noise, it will look really good on Bergevin. But I do think he is a good general manager. He's smart, but he's got his weaknesses. Don't get that twisted. But I want to know what you guys think. This is going to be very, very interesting, as most things are with the Habs here. But this one especially, because I want to see where the majority lies right now with Bergevin. What do you guys think about him? Let me know in the comments down below. For more videos like this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, the whole deal. See you guys in the next one.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.